got milk on there. Terry, please don't turn on your grandma. You always can make up the mind for the different people about change. You know, grandpa.
You getting milk for this or this? You say you throw some in. What color are you getting it?
Flowers.
Brown.
And flowers.
You walk out of this one.
They get a hot. That was new. Must be the same.
You're a hike bike or bike hiker. Whatever you got on this.
I wish people wouldn't dress up when they have to be things. Trophy, your trophy. Oh, he's got a trophy.
That's even pretty. Yeah, a lot of them are just, extra things from the
Do we want to
scouts.
see your trophy, Jared? That's something. Imagine 2 kids winning with number 11 cars in 2 different places.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jared, Seth had 11 and he won.
Oh, really?
Jared had 11 and he won.
Brianna, did you guys get a copy of the program today? Because it has Jared's name in it.
Yeah, I did.
Kevin didn't want to have a pet.
Don't know it. You get home and sing that song. And your dad sang something.
Trevor. Kevin doesn't want Trevor.
Come on, Carrie, let's go over here. Here, you're going to take a picture by Alice.
Carrie Ann. Move your hand.
She likes that. She
Your
likes
hand.
that.
There. We have a whole film of them doing that. Mom.
She's getting pretty good curls, isn't she? She's a different girl.
You guys, do you know how to sing Mother Dear, I Love You So? No. Okay. No, I don't know how to. Let's start. I don't know how to. I don't know how to love you so.
I bet my battery here.
On the back of you. Ow.
Oh, what's there?
On June 16th, it snowed. When Glenn was born on October 3rd, it snowed. When Dawn was born, it snowed.
November the 10th.
10th, it snowed.
That whole October and August and September snowed for you, Dawn.
That's what I say. See, she never had any babies born that didn't snow. That's why it was snow babies.
And when Dawn was born, Grandma had lost baby Wallace, see, and when Dawn came along, no baby. They didn't bring the baby into the room to her, and she wondered what on earth was wrong with him. And when the nurse brought him in, perched up on her eye, they'd curl his hair. It'd take them that long to curl his hair.
It's taken so long to curl that little boy's hair. This is not just too bad it's not a girl.
So Wallace was between me and Glenn.
Yes, and then they lost the other baby between two.
Well, no, Wallace was between Glenn and I.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Wallace
yeah,
was
yeah.
between Glenn. That's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah. But then she had another in between you and...
No.
In between Glenn, before Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Between Leona and Glenn. That's two babies.
Oh, between. Huh? Anyway, Mother was born. Where were you born?
I was born down Rose's Lane in Pleasantview. And that's the most beautiful lane there ever was, Rose's Lane in Pleasantview.
With the old sage oranges on
Yeah,
there.
but this other had the big poplars. just as sick as I could be.
Yeah.
You know?
Then where did you move to?
Well, I was born there, but I went up to Snowball, you know, or to Stone, Idaho, rather. And my father went on a mission when I was 4. Josie was 5. And Mother ran a sheep ranch, big sheep ranch. Made all kinds of money while Dad was on his mission in Texas. And my dad was down there in Galveston, Texas, when they had that big flood. It was days before we could hear from Dad. We didn't know whether he was washed away or not. And
You couldn't even afford to buy postage stamps.
well, there wasn't any such thing as newspaper or television or radio, so it was just days before we could find out my dad was okay, you know. And
And how old were you when you moved
Well,
to Riverdale?
When he came home though, he didn't have the 2 big suitcases,
yeah,
and you walked in on all the snow. You had to walk for how far you have to walk after you got off his mission?
well, from Snowville up to the ranch was a good 5 miles, and he was short and carrying 2 big valises, and the snow was clean up to his overcoat.
Yeah, had his big overcoat on when he walked in there with those big valises there.
And we didn't expect him. My sister had been so sick with pneumonia for about 5 weeks that we didn't think Josie would ever live, my older sister. And we didn't know he sent for Dad. We thought he's gonna stay in Texas. He's spent 26 months on his mission, and he said, well, I'll stay in Texas while it's nice and warm, and come home. Instead of that, he got word about Josie, and here he come. And I've often wondered, but clean through Snowville, clean up to the ranch, past his brother, past his mother and Dad, and walking. Why somebody didn't
Bring him
up
up?
and bring him up. I've never found that out. I don't know why he ever walked in.
Yeah, past his mother. Well,
And
his mother and dad, they lived up where then? Stone, Idaho.
Who? Grandpa?
Caught him.
Oh,
Your
no, they
grandpa
lived
caught
right in
him?
Snowville.
Huh?
Right in Snowville.
They lived in Snowville. What did he do for a living?
A store.
They had the store.
It was
They had
always merchants.
He was
They were
always a
always
store.
merchants,
And so then after John Cottam got out of the mission, and was he a postmaster then?
Well, he wasn't postmaster. Dad always run the mail. He had the first little old Ford that ever did run.
Yeah.
He went from Snowville to Kelton, Utah back, you know, and Tremont and back. He always had the
Mail route.
mail route. It was a really express. The old Ford was loaded down with things.
And then he also later run a gas station there in Snowville, didn't he?
Well, no, he never some gas.
What was he? Because I remember when he
His
went up there
railroad.
that one time, it seemed like he was in a store, and he's always taking us across the street to Hires Root Beer and giving us root beer and ice cream.
Well, that was because
you
he
were-
running the mail, but he's hauling the mail in the little old Ford.
Okay.
He never did have his own gas station. But
I always thought he had a gas station. It seemed like I remember that, because
no,
it seemed like
he always run
he was
the.
always running back and forth across the street, Howard and I, getting us some ice cream or
Well,
candy or something like that. Mother said over there chundering at him because she wouldn't let us have all that good stuff.
Well, he come down one day and Grandpa did, and it was just dinner time, and no candy for Don and Glenn, no candy, whatever. And after it was all over, then they found the candy was in his overcoat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed he that big old overcoat.
Yeah,
we'd watch for him. He'd walk out from Ogden, and we'd dive down in the pockets and get white peppermint, and then he'd bring a package of rolled up catfish. I can remember the catfish he used to bring too. He'd buy the catfish at the meat market.
Don't remember that.
Oh, I remember catfish.
Well, see, after you came back off his mission, how long did you stay there in the Snowville?
Well, Moselle, the baby was born, Moselle, my sister was born 2 years after Father came off his mission. And I was 15 when I left Snowville.
You was
They
15.
broke up, Mother and Dad. They broke up, and
Grandma come down and bought her orchard.
Yeah.
She sold her horses and come down and bought that orchard up the lane.
And then Dad always says that he always remembered Bishop Hickenlooper sending him up to cotton's to do their orchard work so he could meet Mabel up there. So I often wondered why they all he says once a week the Bishop Hickenlooper asked him to go up to help in the orchard there for the widow. And he always told me about that, you know.
Up to Mother's,
up to your,
up the hill.
yeah, up to your place there. So then, when you got married,
She was 17.
you was what, 17?
Oh, I was almost 18. Don't cheat me.
Well, from October to
She's 30
June.
years, she's
From
30
last
years,
of June to last of October.
she's 19, she's 30 years
17
old.
and a half.
She's 30 years older than I am.
Well, she's 18 years older than I am.
Well, that's what I say, you're 12 years
I
older
was
than
18
I
and a
am.
half when he was born.
Yeah. Glenn's 6 years older than I am, see?
Makes a difference between 10 years between you and Dawn.
12.
12 is it?
Yeah, there's 12 years between us.
It's because we lost the two babies in between, so.
But when we moved to Riverdale in 1951, was it 1951? Oh no, that's when we went to California. 1922.
22. She was down here before I was born.
Yeah, we come down in the old lumber wagon or whatever it was in the December cold.
It took 12 hours to come from Riverdale, or from Pleasant View to Riverdale in the lumber wagon, and it was about the 16th of December.
Yeah.
Nearly froze to death. Now we can make it in 30 minutes, and we really did. We really was.
Dad said the house was on top of a hill, and every time we went up a hill, Glenn and I thought we were there. We weren't there, but it was already dark by the time we got into the White House, and we could see that stairs up there. And a stair, second floor, that was really something, but we were too scared to go upstairs. We didn't dare till the next day. We didn't go upstairs till the next day. But, then along came Don, and then along came Howard. And Don rode the fruit wagon with Dad, and ate the arsenic of lead.
I still remember eating that arsenic lead. As
Uh,
I came out, I found this package out in the
I saved his
shed.
life. I saved Don's life.
And I came walking out, and I can remember Mother running at me and Yoda running at me and
Well, she
turned me
just hung the-
upside down. And
She hung the clothes on the line.
That's his dad's fault. Ever leave that white powdered, they don't do it anymore, the white powdered spray. And every time I made bread, which I baked all the time, he had to have bread and eat the flour by the spoonful. So when he got out in that granary, or in that old packing house,
Still packing
there's
house.
white flour, and boy, he just ate it. And I was hanging clothes on the line.
And here he come out, walled with it all down the front.
Glenn comes screeching, "Glenn's eat the poison." And I just grabbed the sheet off on the thing and rolled him up and turned him over in my lap, stuck my finger down his throat, and he heaved it up. He
And
just threw up.
she had me whip up eggs, and we fed him
I said,
raw
"Go
eggs.
get the vinegar, go get your dad, tell him
yeah,
he's
it spoiled my whole day.
And after that,
Then we called
But I
Dr.
had
Bartlett.
Yeah,
He'd
then
eaten almost a cup.
Dr. Bartlett came out too, didn't he?
no, he'd almost eaten a cup of that flour, that poison stuff. And Dr. Bartlett says, "Well, if you'd have just loaded him in your old car and come to town and got me, he'd have been dead." He said, "You just saved his life, Mabel. You saved his life." So I just turned
I
him
was
over.
making
vinegar,
lukewarm
vinegar and egg.
and then the eggs.
And
And Mother's out.
after that, you could not get a
White sheet near you.
white sheet near him.
If he'd go to
or-
the dentist or get his hair cut, he'd
Or the
just
barber.
scream.
There's no need to get his hair cut or no dentist or anything else. And then one time we was going to have the kiddies insured, the good little package, so the
Insurance man.
insurance company got out, and Leona and Glenn all, and we missed Don. No Don. He wasn't nowhere. He thought he was a doctor, I guess. And he got down behind the old tin couch. And so we coaxed him and we begged Don to come. Nope. No way, no way. So we just winked at each other and picked up the old tin couch and sat over and grabbed Don.
You still didn't get me.
Yeah.
No.
No, you still didn't get me.
The old
I still wouldn't let him examine me.
the old guy said, "Okay, I'm okaying him 100%. Anybody could act like that." He says, "There's nothing wrong with that kid." He says, "You got his insurance policy." You got his
Well, when Don was a baby, Mother went out to Pleasant View. Aunt Kate Rose, Uncle Herb's wife, had black smallpox, but they didn't know it at the time. And she was deathly sick. So Mother was going in and helping take care of her, combing her hair, and for several days.
And the snow was 6 foot deep.
Yeah. And finally, Dr. Bartlett says, well, she's got black smallpox. Well, he had to come down to our house and inoculate all of us because Mother had been exposed, and she'd come home and exposed all of us. And when he got ready to inoculate Don, there was no Don.
No, that was Dan's. Don was in Riverdale. Aunt Kate was out in the snow after Pleasant.
Yeah, I know, but we were living in Riverdale.
Don was never anything to do with Riverdale or Pleasant View.
Well, I know, but I thought that.
No,
well,
that
any,
was
okay,
Glenn.
that was Glenn. Okay, then it was Glenn that hid under the buffet and hung onto the post and wouldn't get inoculated. I thought it was Dawn that wouldn't.
But Glenn was just as bad. They'd bite every dentist. I see all my great grandkids sit up there and have their teeth. In fact, they like to go to the dentist. I said, oh, kids just bite the one dentist so I can say the great grandkids as mean as my own kids were. I didn't have, but those kids are used about as bad.
But we used to.
I'm going to tell one on Leona. Tell her. She got, she's in high school.
Oh dear, don't tell this
I
one.
will. And she's a straight up bean, and she had to have Bazir because all the rest of the girls had Bazirs. So I bought her Bazir. And this time from high school I caught her, took her off in the high school bus, and took her up to Dr. Bartlett's office.
For an exam.
I tried to get her up to there for so long, and so I didn't even tell her where we was going until we got off in the bus and left the stairs after the office. And we waited quite a while in the office, Dr. Bartlett's office. And when he came out, he undone Leona's blouse, down the back. He couldn't find her brassiere.
It was down around my stomach.
And she didn't have nothing to hold it up. It had just slipped right on down to her waist.
He says, what's this, a new belly band?
You know, I
This
never,
is terrible. It's so
I never got her back in the office again in her life. Dr. Bartlett said, what is this, Leona? I said, well, that's her brassiere. So she never did go back to the dentist or doctor's office after
You got
that.
this part out, sure. But we used to work. We would hoe around trees, and then, of course, when the cherries were on, we'd pick cherries for 15 cents an hour. But yet we always earned our own school clothes. And Glenn,
Shoes,
yeah,
everything.
And Glenn would drive the team of horses, Old Chub and Queen, and Springtooth around those trees, and he never hit a tree.
And he'd drive them, Glenn
He
would
was
drive
about,
them. And
What, 12 years old?
Well,
Whittle.
we always
Whittle
took all the lines
Whittle,
after
yeah,
10.
Yeah.
he's still whittling.
After 10.
Yeah, and Dawn, we used to bring Dad would bring Old Chub and Queen up to the watering trough, which at the end of the path.
The old
We
White
had the
House.
path, and we looked out one day, and here was Dawn. He was about this tall, standing with both arms around Old Queen's front legs, and she was a nippy old horse. Boy, she'd bite you just like anything. And she never even moved with Dawn holding on to both of her front legs. And so we very gently got him out from underneath her feet.
And the other one too.
Her
Well,
feet were
don't
about
be-
this big around. She could have squirmed.
Well, like with Peach and Cherry, see, Peach was the one horse that'd kick you just by looking at you.
Chubb.
Well, Chubb would too, but
You don't
Peach,
know
Peach is the one I remember because she'd always, we go down to cultivate the tomatoes down there where the white cherries are. There's always an apple tree there that she would go under and leave me up in a tree just to get rid of me. She would. She'd scratch me off that. I couldn't keep her out of that limb. The only way I could get her down to the tomato plant, I'd have to go clear around the orchard and bring her around. Otherwise, she'd know where that branch was, and she'd leave me up in the tree every time. And I couldn't get rid of her.
Well, I guess Don's about like Curtis is now. Just about that same age and about that same height. And he's up in the old packing house, and it had a platform up here, and you had to run down 3 or 4 steps. And Don got, that's where he got his spray too.
Yeah.
But he kept running down and running right under old Chubb's belly, just right there. And I was pumping water to water him, and I could see him. And he looked around, and that big old, great big horse, that little tiny kid go running in his stomach, you know. And he'd stomp anybody to death, you know. He really was some horse.
Well, see, I was driving the spray machine that one time, and my feet were too small to reach down onto the support. And so we had, there's that square ditch out back of the old chicken coop, and Dad said, "Okay, bring the horses up and stop them, and then let the wagon slide down into the ditch, and then we'll pull it out." And I did that, but my feet wouldn't hold, and I went off that wagon right down on Peach's legs, or hind legs. And Dad thought, he'll kick that kid to death. And so he shut off the machine and run around there, and old Peach stood. She never, she didn't even wiggle, and Dad got me out from behind her. And then he tied the lines up and then let him out of the ditch. But then he went down and put a board on the end of the stand there so I could hook my heels in and keep myself on the old spray machine there. And I remember the old spray machine, how we'd have to wind it up
and
crank it. And you could always tell when Howard was driving for Dad, because they'd be hollering at each other all the way down through the orchard, because Howard wouldn't turn around and watch Dad when he drove the horses, and he was always too fast for Dad. Dad wanted to spray, and Howard wanted to get through the orchard, and Howard tried to drag Dad down through the orchard to get the spraying done in a hurry. They were always arguing with each other on Howard wouldn't drive slow enough.
But we had that great big flat box, I guess, that old big old cherry wagon still going. That big old wagon.
Oh yeah. Well, we used to have to hold the
and we'd put the boxes down, and we sat down back in about the third box, and I always picked cherries. See, I always picked cherries, and swung the record book from a
You had to write down how many buckets everybody picked.
and it was right to the pounds. They had every pound from 5 pounds down, and down he'd sit in the back of those boxes. And one day, a little too long, that was too long coming. So down he hopped the boxes. And I was up on this great big ladder, 6 foot high, and I could see Donna doing this, and he got over there and hit an old chub on the tail. Got clean up on that wagon and hit that big.
She didn't move though.
Oh, no, Chub just looked back, and if it had been anybody else, we'd have had to run away.
I couldn't agitate her to do nothing.
Just let her do it.
And then Dad used to run the old Fresno scraper down where he used to have apricots, down where Howard's got the pie cherries.
On Pole Patch.
And no, this was on a Bamberger.
Up on the hill.
Up on the hill there, and I can always remember walking down that nice fresh dirt that he'd stir up, and how hard it'd be, and he would Dad leveled every piece of ground in this place with the horses, the old Fresno, so it watered good. And he rebuilt ditches, he rebuilt practically everything out here in order to get it to irrigate properly. Then I can always remember Leona, after she got out of Henniger's Business College, she'd go out at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning and thumb her right into town.
Yeah. And
no buses. She'd thumb her right into town, and we'd have to watch her.
That was a highway right here.
This is a highway.
And we'd have to watch her, and if by 8:45 she didn't get a ride, then then they get the old Overland out and take her in. There's one time that it was raining like the devil, and we went out to get the Overland, and the cat had jumped off the loft in the packing house onto the roof of the old Overland and punched a hole in it.
Oh.
Remember that? And so we couldn't take you into town that day because it rained like the devil. And then I always remember it seemed like when we put the side curtains on the old Overland, it was made out of isinglass, and we'd have to go into, about where ZCMI's was, as I remember. And there was a huckster in there that would sew the new isinglass on the side curtains there. And I remember sitting in there, it would be nice and cold, and doing that. And then there's one time we went into town, and Mother seen this airplane coming, and we had to pull over to the side of the road, and everybody got out.
It was dark, and there was a light. See, here it comes, this light right out of heaven.
Let me tell us airplane stuff. It's right up here on Washington Avenue, where that old that big old
South Ogden
apartment is now, that big
Chime View there.
Yeah, and they built the airport just over here, And I don't think we'd ever seen an airplane go over it very often, maybe once in a week. And this night, we was going into a show. I had Howard on my lap and Don between and Glenn in the back.
Me? I was there.
Yeah,
I
was
was
there.
there.
Yeah, Jenna was
But
there.
here come the airplane.
Just a light. We didn't know it was an
We didn't know it.
an
This
airplane.
great big light, searchlight, and he had his searchlight on, trying to find the little old airport out here. I thought it was a meteor, or whatever they call it.
Meteor.
I pulled over and I grabbed Don from between and Howard, grabbed them kids and ran up to that apartment house. I wasn't going to have hit my car with my kids in.
We all piled all the doors.
Yeah,
That
all
was-
those doors.
That was the biggest scare anybody could ever have. I'll tell you, that
Well,
searchlight
that's-
just come right down at us. We didn't know what it was. No,
That's
I
all
didn't know.
right. Brian had the same experience the other night. He said he would just come from the Cinedome and almost got up to his house. And he looked up, and here come these two lights out of the sky. And it just kept going like this. And he says, good grief, they're heading towards me.
Yeah, picking right up.
And all of a sudden, he stopped. And when he stopped, he looked up, and there was two jet airplanes coming in together. And they were just angling like this to go into hill. And instead, they were just, changing positions there to land. And he says, I swear to goodness I was going to get hit. And I said, well, I guess that's the same thing I had.
But they never make it over to the hill field. Never
Yeah.
make it.
But it's funny.
Well, this might be before Dawn's time, but when Lindbergh, after he flew to Paris, he toured the whole country, and we knew he was coming. We was going to come up, fly from Salt Lake up past Ogden.
You was working in Salt Lake then.
No, we were just little kids,
Oh, yeah.
and Grandma caught him, knew about it.
Oh, yeah.
So here she came down with little flags for all of us little grandkids.
I
You were
I
there.
was there.
And we all went out by the mailbox, and Lindbergh followed the
Road.
highway up. And here we were all out there standing, waving our flags, and he was close enough down that he could see us, and he waved his hand out as he flew over the top of us.
Because everything had open cockpits.
Yeah.
No, you're sitting right out.
Yeah, they're open cockpits.
Yeah, she brought us all those little flags, and we stood out there waving our flags at him. And then we went out to Pleasant View. The first plane that ever come in landed out at Hot Springs. But that was when Glenn was a baby.
Yeah.
And we went out and we saw the little open cockpit airplane out there.
That was the first airplane that ever landed in Weaver County. It was out on the Springs when we got have our picture with it. And they rope it all off, and everybody would stand back. You couldn't come up close to the airplane. Tommy Thompson.
Yeah.
Tommy
Tommy Thompson was when they first came in.
And so Mother said to the guard that's walking, he walked around, he says, can't we have our picture taken? By it. And he says, you sure can, Grandma, come on over.
So we got our picture taken by
So we went over by the first airplane that landed in Weaver County. And very few in Salt Lake before that either. So I've watched to see a good many things come in and go out.
Well, see, you rode the Bamberger then to... Well, see, you rode the dummy. Was it called the dummy from Pleasant View down to Ogden? The day you got married? When you got
It was
married?
a streetcar by then. The dummy was powered by coal.
Yeah, it was
But
steam.
this was electric. That we are out in Pleasant View. That airplane or that streetcar went right in front of us. But it wasn't the dummy. Dad seen the dummy.
But when you got married, you rode the streetcar down and then rode the Bamberger to Salt
Oh
Lake.
yes, Almy came out. He rode over and walked up Jensen's Lane and picked me up and Mother up, and then we walked down, got on the Bamberger, and Mother went down. But come back that way too.
Many a time I rode the old Bamberger.
But this
Me
is Pleasant
too.
View. We had
Well, when I got drafted, I rode the Bamberger down and got drafted down on Social Hall Avenue, where KSL is. That's where we went down that one night to see Sherry perform and that.
Yeah.
And we rode the Bamberger Electric Railroad down there, even then.
Yeah. But I worked in Salt Lake after I went to graduated from Henniger's Business College.
stayed right in Salt Lake.
And I'd get up and catch the 5:30 Bamberger, and I'd sleep all the way till I got to Salt Lake. And as soon as I get to North Salt Lake, I woke up because I could smell Salt Lake. You had that oily
Smoke.
smell.
Is that
Well, you
all
went
that-
out to the stockyards too.
Well, that's where I worked, is out by the stockyards.
Yeah.
But riding the Bamberger down, you could smell that oil in North Salt Lake.
Grandma, who was at the temple the day you got married?
We was the 56th couple married. We went in at 7 o'clock in the morning. We were the 56th couple, and they served us hot postum and a donut. Now this is in the heat of the day. No air conditioning in the temple.
They didn't know
Yeah.
air
June
conditioning.
the
No air
20th
conditioning.
June the 21st.
June the 21st. And there was a little Wyoming girl, a little red-headed girl, and she didn't have anybody with her. I didn't have anybody with her, and I don't think she was any old. I don't think she was old as I was, really.
Well, didn't you meet Verd Pingree and...
No, we never seen him.
No,
Oh.
Bert Finger went through the Logan Temple.
But
Oh, I thought they
Mother, I think they went through the Salt Lake Temple together, but
no,
I
they
thought
was married.
they was
Same day,
married
but
in Logan.
They were married saying, oh, I see.
They were married in Logan. I thought, I was under my impression that you was married
Same
in Logan.
year, but
Same day.
Yes,
Same year, same day.
1911.
1911.
But you stayed all night in Salt Lake before you got married. You got...
oh yes,
Yeah.
we went down there because we had to be there in the temple by 7 o'clock in the morning. See, and it poured rain. We thought we was going to the show. We went and had supper, Alma and I. Got our room and put our suitcases down, and then we went and had our supper. And we thought, well, we'd go to a show, and just had a cloudburst, just cloudburst. So he was in his room in the hotel.
Was it Temple Square Hotel?
No, yeah. And I was in the other room, see. And he said, well, this is a great way to celebrate before we were married. I guess we slowed down after, because it poured rain. We couldn't get out and go to show at all. We had to just sit there, twiddle our thumbs. No television then or radio to listen to, you know. But the next morning we was up in that into the temple by 7 o'clock in the morning. But this little Wyoming girl was alone. I'll finish that story. And I was alone, and we were, the last one called. And I turned around. I hadn't been paying attention to her because I was so hot. And when I looked at her, she had this red hair, and it was stringing
Really warm.
down through her cap. I thought, I wonder what I look like, you know. But she was the last couple married. They were the last couple. They came from Arizona, and they had all this rain and stuff, you know, the heat. And but she was all alone, so was I. Nobody to go through with me. So, well, let's go home.
Well, how'd you get home from the temple?
Bamberger, what we did from Salt Lake, we could have gone out to Ogden and then on the electric train past our place. But we'd have to wait an hour and a half for that. And Bamberger was ready to go this way, to Logan, see. So I said, well, let's not wait here in Salt Lake. We'll just take this and go up. Well, it dropped us off in Pleasant View.
We're down past Budges.
Clean down. No, it's this way.
Away from
Jensen Lane.
Jensen Lane, oh.
And it was 150 degrees heat. I thought, now if I can just live to get up this hill, to get strawberries out of Farron's patch, I think I can get there the half hour up. We got there, and every strawberry had been cleared off in the heat, you know, and they just picked them all up. I didn't even get a strawberry.
But they walked on up to Grandma Cottom's house, clear up Jensen's Lake. And when she got there, she had a nice dinner already for them.
Yeah, we had our own garden. Mother had her own garden, her own peas. That's 21st June.
Yeah.
Peas and carrots, and her own spring chicken, and homemade biscuits. A good dinner for us. That was our wedding dinner, I guess. Only wedding party we had.
No reception like they have nowadays or nothing.
No.
They went over to, then you went over to Pleasant View, to the little house up by Glenn's Lane.
Yeah, we cut it over the field.
Yeah.
On Jensen's Road.
And then after they were in bed, here came all of the young couples in Pleasant View to have a party. The mother and dad were already in bed.
But Eva come over to stay. Now, if you can imagine that, the second night we was married, here come Eva. as Almy's sister, you know, and she was such a funny
But
person.
she knew about the party though, huh?
And they sent her ahead to stay all night so we wouldn't be in bed or anything because they didn't know like they'd be. And so Abby went to bed and never said a word that they you got to stay up. See, we're going to have a party. They used to call them chivalries.
Yeah, chivalries.
Boy, Almy was a nasty man.
They brought their own ice cream and
pancake Clipper and Ray Clipper and all that bunch, you know. And no way would Almy get out of bed or Abby get out of bed. So they went out and ate their ice cream out somewhere else on somebody else's lawn. So that's the only wedding party we ever had.
There was a time you was driving home. You didn't have no plow snow out. You was along in
North Ogden
North Ogden there, and the horse
in the cutter.
on the cutter and tipped the cutter over, wasn't it?
Well, you know, they never had, in our day, they didn't even have any road plows at all. No way.
Well, they didn't think of it.
There wasn't
Didn't have any road.
equipment, no equipment at all.
No.
And we got in little old Jenny in the cutter. We had this cutter. And Leona was, I guess she's about a year. And the snowdrifts would be just like that on the highway. You know, going from
Nobody plowed them.
North Ogden out to Pleasantville.
Yeah.
And it went up over the snowdrift. And we had this little, we called her Jenny, little horse. And she ran.
She's a little strawberry
She just
roan.
ran at the drop of a hat. And we was tucked in this cutter with this big robe. And I had Leon on my lap. And she went over and broke the shaft where she hit out. And Almy went out. How he ever got out, he was tucked in with this heavy bathrobe.
Oh, you and I were out in the snowdrift.
Yes, we just went right out.
Yeah.
And Dad
Hung on the lines.
he had on one line. He hung that line and went for a quarter of a mile up.
On his stomach, holding onto the line.
Just one line and a broken shaft. One shaft of jerk.
Mhm.
And there wasn't another soul, not an automobile or anything on those.
No
cars,
houses
no,
even.
no houses. Wait, no houses.
No, no houses.
And
at
we
all.
were down there with this baby and a broken shaft. And so Almy took the strap off, he took his own belt off and mended the shaft enough to hold it together so he could get home. But the little horse waited to run every time we went over. She
Yeah,
was ready-
she was ready to go again.
Take off again. She'd had fun before.
Yeah.
And we was clean down in the city limits.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we'd freeze to death. Well, we could have froze to death.
Oh, yeah, 'cause there's no houses, no
About 8
people.
miles from
And the
home.
streetcar never
Yeah.
come back again for another hour.
Yeah.
So, time we got home, we didn't go to any more shows that winter. I'll tell you. We stayed home.
Well, Dad always tell me a story about the dynamite. He'd get up early in the morning on 4th of July and go clear to the end of Pleasant View
Up in the foothills.
and put out a
On
quarter,
Pulpit.
put a quarter of a stick of dynamite out with the long fuse, and then he'd just keep making the fuses shorter and shorter till he got home. And there was time, so after he's home, all of them would go off at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the way he'd always wake up to
Yeah, that's when he
Pleasant View on 4th of July.
That's when the Dad hadn't blowed his head off, 'cause he blowed stumps.
Yeah, we
rocks.
blew stumps, we blew
Blowed rocks.
all rocks, we blew rocks.
And then
he'd always,
gasoline later in life, he burnt weeds and stuff.
he'd always take those sticks of dynamite and cut them in fours and wrap them in wax paper and then take the primer and clamp it to the thing, and then we'd dig a hole down in the ground for the tree, and then we take the crowbar and go down another foot or two
And break the rocks loose.
then put that quarter of a stick of dynamite down in there and break the rocks loose down in there.
Yeah, and then after he quit messing around with dynamite, all these many later years, he'd have 20 gallons of gasoline and
Burn the ditch banks.
burn all the ditch banks and all the weed willows.
Well,
and
he
stuff.
never lit it. All he would do is just go out and pour the gas and diesel oil
Yeah,
on
but
it.
if anything had come along
Oh, well.
and bloated out.
He survived. He's going to live to 105 anyway, so I don't think anybody's going to outlive him.
We've been up, ever since Leona come, we've been up to Dad's every night, and she goes and gets his tray, and we eat down in his room, where we can visit with him, and he eats everything that you can put before him. And we took, what was it, we took...
Raspberry. You took raspberries out.
But he can look clean across his tray.
And see the pudding.
See
Oh,
pudding.
well, the time that we went up there and they had this special buffet. Artist made a cake, and he knew where the cake and the pudding was, and he ate that up first, along with his drink.
Yeah.
And then he'll go eat his food. Like the nurses say, hey, if they'll eat anything, we don't care. As long as they eat something, that's
But you
fine.
know, he knew Leona. I said we won't just shock him. I told her before that Leona was coming, but I thought she won't walk up to him, you know. And so he knew her. I didn't say anything to her since she walked out. Of course, he could see her.
Oh yeah, he knows.
I didn't have to bluff him out at all because
He always says California.
Yeah, California full patch.
yeah. And then he talked forward. But last night he didn't talk so much. He'd been really rambling, sort of a little off. But last night he quieted down pretty good. Well, let's go on.
No, now I have to tell a story about Sherry.
About she used to push her teeth out. Mike and Brent was older than Sherry, and they get the teeth that was out, and so they get the penny. So Mrs. Sherry, she's about like Deb. She'd get out on that lawn and poke her teeth and poke her teeth. She wanted her money too. And I couldn't stop the little stinker. But she tells a story. She says that I used to say, now Sherry, the gypsies will get you. I never scared a kid of mine in my life. So that's a false story.
Well, like when we had old Margie though, Dad had been out cultivating and Margie, Sherry standing out there, and Margie looked down at her, and Sherry's interested in her teeth, and so Margie was yawning and sticking her tongue out, and Sherry's watching her.
It was right behind the chicken coop, and we had a stake just to the fence, so it wasn't too long a row. Now Miss Sherry dashed around for her. I guess she's about like Deb, about the same thing. And Sherry's leaning down like this, and old Margie'd come to the end of her row, and she stuck her ears back, and her tongue out, eyes out, and Sherry just looked right down her throat. And I thought I couldn't get there before she'd devour you, Sherry. But Margie did that every time she seen Sherry. She'd stick her tongue out, and Sherry look right down her throat. And not just one time and again, ears back, and her eyes sticking out the old horse. But she was playing with her. She was really playing with her.
Leona couldn't keep Sherry out of the...
Yeah, well, when artists had come home from the hospital with Jana in June or July, I was selling cherries on the lawn, and I had Don and Johnny and Mike and Brent and Sherry. And Mike and Johnny would smooth all the cherries so pretty because we'd have boxes and boxes of them. We wanted them to look pretty for people to buy. And here comes Sherry and Brent and squished their hands right on the top of my cherries. And Brent and Johnny and Mike, they'd go back and smooth them down. So finally, and then Sherry'd run away. And she came out one day with this little bandana handkerchief on her head. And I was busy. There was cars all around. I was afraid she'd run under the car. So I put her down in a cherry bucket so she couldn't get out. And there she stood.
You got that picture?
So, and I took her picture.
I never did get that one.
That was one way to keep her from running under the cars.
Sherry listened to us. I won't say that about Sherry. She's a spicy little guy. She kept up with Kathleen. Kathleen had Mike and Brent and Kathleen. But here's Sherry, see. Mm-hmm. But she thought she was bigger than Kathleen and Mike and Brent. She had to be into everything.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be outdone by either one. She was so.
Yeah, they went roller.
She thinks Debbie's a little gal that's up and going, but so is old. her own mommy.
We took him down to the ice.
Oh,
rink.
another thing today, I seen Bishop Sanders, you know, and I was giving him a kiss on my cheek, and he patted me on the back, and I had the 2 flowers, and he says, "Where's my girl Sherry? I never see Sherry." You know, he used to promote you, you know. He really did. And they're going to go on a mission. And take the 2 teenage girls.
Back in Indiana.
That's Indiana.
Just loved him. Shout out with glee. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shot. You'll go down in his story.
That's beautiful.
Why don't you ask Aunt Polly where she came from, Jeffrey? Huh? Ask her where she is.
In a camper. In California. In a big camper. Bus.
The motorhome, yeah.
Motor. That's your dad, that's your grandpa's. She's going to California to dance pretty soon. He's my older brother.
Are you the baby, Aunt Polly?
Well, I never did like to be called.
We're gonna have to do
Okay, do you want hamburger or meat?
it.
Just a minute, I'll get it for you, honey. Go sit down.
One of the-
Yeah. Hi, Kate. All right, Kate.
Get him a couple of strawberries with his dinner.
There'll be plenty.
Dinner.
Can I have 3 strawberries?
Okay, come on, sit down.
Yeah, he can have.
That's all right. It's perfectly okay.
I'll be back like that.
I wondered if that was your new personality. This all moves down now. Won't be that far away
Do
from
you
you.
guys want RC or do you want?
Serving or?
Yeah.
Well, if I have to get up and walk around the stable with you.
won't have anything. Oh, there's Dr. Pepper if you want.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Better RC or?
Oh, yeah, I need a glass for her. Okay, sing happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, Happy anniversary to you. That's your grandma and grandpa. That's your great grandma and grandpa.
Sing your song?
Huh?
What song do you like?
She
Do you want to get out your bike now and open? Take it down
Alright, you do the big one.
You can get off your bike now. Go get up on the table where Joshy is and open the present. Let's see, I'm going to open this side. Joshy? Okay. Right here, okay? No! Can you see her? Oh, okay, wait a minute.
Kevin and Curtis,
Wait a
move.
minute, Trevor. Kevin and
Kevin.
Kevin.
Move. Curtis. Thank you for
Courtney.
sneezing all over the
Hey,
couch.
Brianna. Courtney, can you take the She wants to eat the cake. She's okay.
Let her go. Kevin, get off.
I get the tail. You do. Hey, open the presents now. Did you get more than one?
Two.
Okay. That's enough now.
Curtis, look at Daddy.
Present now.
You gonna ride your bike?
Go. Back to your hut, Michael. Hey, Courtney! No. Nope. I forgot. Let me get her.
Show her what's in it.
Okay. Brittany. Yeah.
Let's watch Courtney. Let's watch Courtney. But you're in the way and I have to take a picture.
I know, I try to remember everything.
Miss you, Grandma, so thank you. Look.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And you want to open another present? She can open this one. Look at
Oh, okay. After this one, okay.
Okay. You can see through this.
Not that I did
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
watch.
Look, Brittany.
Today,
Courtney.
Grandma, take it. Trevor, just minutes. Have your present for us. Look what's from Brittany. Look from Sarah. Brittany said thank you. Oh, that's so cute.
Courtney, no.
that's Courtney.
That's for Courtney. You give it to Courtney. That's Courtney's Bubba. That's not our Bubba. That's Courtney's Bubba.
Tell Trevor thank you. And tell Joshua thank you. And tell Kirsten thank you. Who's got this one?
One more.